everyone, and welcome back to another video. This is Brianna Ray from BriY, and I am here to bring you a really informative video today. I really wanted to talk a little bit about making passive income. So something that I actually very recently started doing is selling on Etsy. The first thing I did on my Etsy shop was put up these prints from my book. These are direct from the text, and I just really liked them, and you can print them out and frame them. So this is one of the ways that I started making a little bit of extra money by selling my work on Etsy. I sell my digital portraits that I make, much like these right here. I sell a downloadable PDF of my book. And most recently, I've started selling t-shirts with designs based off of my book as well. By far, however, I get the majority of my sales from this guy. This is a template that I made for the lip balm and hand sanitizer holders that I did in this video up here. I got a lot of questions from people asking if I could share with them my templates, so all I did was simply created one and started selling it on Etsy for 99 cents, and by far this has been the best seller of my shop, basically outselling everything else by about 75 orders. So this has been a really nice way to just kind of accumulate a little money here and there. Templates are obviously super inexpensive, but I just kind of wanted to walk you guys through the process. If you have anything that you have created a template for and you're interested in selling it, it's actually a really easy process for you to be able to take an actual fully drawn piece and convert it into a printable template just like this. Now, I don't make a whole lot of templates myself, but something that I did create was this. This is actually one of the first drafts that I had for my design of my chipboard props from Avatar: The Last Airbender, which you can see in this video up there. This is another one of my more popular ones, and I'm not entirely certain how many people would want to buy these templates, but I'm sure at least a handful of people would be interested in knowing that it's out there and available, especially with as popular as the video has been on my channel. So I am going to walk you through the process on how I take this actual sheet of paper and convert it into a digital download for you to sell on an Etsy shop or anywhere. The first step that you'll have to take is to open up Autodesk Sketchbook or download it if you don't have it already. Something super important to remember as you're creating your new sketch in Autodesk Sketchbook is making sure that you have everything at the appropriate proportions. For me, I want mine to be standard size computer paper so that it is ideal for printing. So I'm going to go back, and on my width I'm going to put in 2550. And for my height, which would be 11 inches on computer paper, I'm going to change this to 3300. I'm going to hit done and hit the checkbox, and that is going to create a standard size computer paper length for you. That way when you import it later, you'll understand what I mean in a bit, it's going to be the appropriate size and have the appropriate amount of pixels, so you will not need to worry about resizing it. Now here is where the fun begins. I'm going to import the image that I originally took of my template and upload it into Autodesk Sketchbook. From there, I'm going to turn down the transparency and start slowly and carefully highlighting all of the major lines on the art piece. It's super important to make sure that you try to use as clear and easily delineated lines as possible. That way, it's easy to tell that a lot of work and effort went into your piece, especially if you're going to be trying to sell these. I like to use the mirror tool and the pre-made straight lines and circles to make sure that everything looks as clean and as professional as possible. Step 2 is going to be uploading your template into Microsoft Word to be converted into a PDF. Something else that you might want to consider is when you're creating your design, and you'll see that I have it done right here. When you're creating your design, you might want to note any differences between lines that need to be cut and lines that are there for detail. For example, if that second line on the inside of Sokka's boomerang was cut fully, then it would actually make the boomerang smaller and cut the outside piece where it shouldn't be cut, if that makes sense. Just like we wouldn't cut the details on the inside of Katara's necklace, as you see in the center. So I made it simple to see these differences by changing the color of those detail lines. I simply just made those gray, and in the directions that I'm about to include, I will specify that gray is the color for details and black are the lines that are meant to be cut. I like to change my margins to be as small as possible. On my printer, that usually comes out as 1/2 inch margins on the tops and bottoms. So I make those adjustments and I simply stretch my image out to be the full length of the paper. That way it is much as close to the original size that it was made as possible. Next, I just put in some basic directions, tips, and information. I like to do this just to make sure that everything is clear and understandable that it is meant to be printed out, as opposed to maybe uploaded to a Cricut system or used in that way. My directions specify that the black lines are meant to be cut and the gray lines are there for directions. And I did put that in big bold letters and made sure to keep them as dark and capitalized as possible. The tip that I provided for this one is for using the detail lines. Obviously, when you are transferring this template onto a different material, it's not going to transfer the details with it. So I provided a brief tip on here that in order to transfer those details, you can take a simple graphite pencil, color all over the back, or at least over those detail lines that you might need to make, place the template right side up with the graphite facing the material, and simply trace over those details so that they leave a slight graphite imprint on whatever material it is that you're making this in. I also like to add a couple of details to fully fill up the page. So for me, I like to use these curved arrows, and I like to label each of the pieces as they are done. On my original, I did specify the difference between the hand sanitizer holder and the lip balm holder. For this one, I am clarifying what each of these props are for. And later on my listing that I'm going to make, I am actually going to specify which of these might need other materials outside of just printing them out on paper. For example, the guitar's necklace will need a ribbon, obviously, to put the necklace onto. And if you wanted to make a fully accurate headdress for the Fire Nation, like I have at the bottom here, you would most likely need to go in and add a wooden dowel through it to keep it as authentic and original looking as it did in the show. For the most part though, people who are downloading these will probably know what they're going to need or not need, and I also have the benefit of having all of my creations here in tutorial format on my YouTube channel, so I usually just link to those directions as well. Here I have all of my labels in. Now it's actually time to export everything. Making some finishing touches. So you're going to want to go up to File in Microsoft Word and go all the way down to Export. You see there's a couple of different options for exporting to PDF. You can do an Adobe PDF, which is an option, but for most people you're going to see Create PDF/XPS document, and you're going to want to export from there. This is going to save your document as a PDF so that you can easily upload it to any e-commerce site. I like to go in and double check my PDFs just to make sure they look right. And I just kind of scroll through, double check for quality, make sure that everything looks professionally done, and be sure to identify any issues. At this time, you might also choose to print out your creation in order to make extra certain that it looks as it is meant to on the sheet. I also like to go back and add a little copyright to the bottom. I just kind of put my name in there. I just think it's super important when you're selling anything online to make sure that you have something watermarked or proof that it is in fact yours. So all I did is went back and re-exported it. That way I know that all of my creations are stamped as mine and nobody else can pass them off as their own. There it is, and everything looks pretty good to me. Once all of these steps are done, you'll be able to upload your template onto whatever e-commerce site that you use. Of course, I'm using Etsy, and I currently have my props up for sale for 99 cents. I think that that's a pretty reasonable price. No one seems to have any problem paying for that. Plus, with 3 templates in there and the amount of time that it takes you to put it together, I think that's a completely fair thing to offer. You can create any background template or product photo you prefer. I like to include the very basics of what the template's going to look like, making sure to specify that it does include the directions, and of course just some pictures of the actual products that you're going to have. It'll tell them automatically that it is a digital download, and all they will have to do is add it to their cart, and voila, you are now making some passive income just by sitting around and hoping that your things go on sale. Well, with all that said, I wanted to thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, feel free to like and subscribe. I do put out new videos every Sunday at noon Eastern Standard Time, and I'd love for you to be here for the next one. Thanks again so much, and I hope to see you then. Bye!